We've been doing differentiation for years, and your understatement of we have 25 kids in front of us that they're all need an IEP. They all have different learning needs. And I have dabbled minimally with some of the AI. I've created a couple quizzes just to see what's out there, trying to do some differentiation. But the concern that I have is our feeder to the fire when we come to standardized tests. And that's what we're looking at in terms of placing kids or looking at, oh, how are they growing? What's their achievement like? And if we're always differentiating and these kids are only working at a third grade level on their AI, the things we pushed out to them that way, but I got to give them a fifth grade assessment. And that's always been a concern. So where can AI help us bridge that gap a little bit?
I love that you brought that up because it is a real thing. And when I was talking with Mike and Sam about tonight, we talked a little bit about the need to not always level every single thing for kids. Because if we constantly just give them a text at the level that they're currently reading at, they will never get to the next level. That using a tool like AI to create those level texts for students is a great use, but that we're also mindful of, okay, so if today we gave them their third grade level text, tomorrow could we, or not tomorrow necessarily, but soon, could we try a little bit more challenging text for them to see if we can keep leveling them up to that next level. But then also, and I know that you do this in your work because I have the experience of knowing you as a teacher, but the importance of the whole group read aloud or something like that, where they're also experiencing higher level texts in other ways in the classroom is another way to really scaffold that for learners.
No, I think, Kate, you're right. It's a balance, right? Lynn, you're providing those options and accessibility, and you're modifying the curriculum because that's what the student needs at that particular time. And Kate said students need on grade level text and they need that practice. But we want to be able to provide those accommodations for students so they work towards that grade level text. Without it, we know the result is the students are never going to be able to get to that level of understanding that we want them and need them to get to. That's why we provide those accommodations. Now, at some point, you as the teacher and your expertise and understanding of that child, you're going to provide them more challenging activities and resources and on grade level texts. Not necessarily to teach to the test, but because that's what's good for kids. Right?
I don't disagree with giving kids levels that are challenging, but they need to be supported in that. You can't just give them, say, okay, you've been reading second grade level text. Here's a third grade level, have at it. You need to provide the supports in place. It's almost not about the level of the text. It's how can you support them through comprehension strategies and or phonics strategies, which are a different situation, but how can you support them? You can't just say chat GBT or magic air or whatever it's called is going to give me a more difficult text. That's not going to help a kid. What's going to help the kid is how you can put those supports in place for them to attack that higher level text.
You use the AI to speed up the process of changing the text level. So right now, it's impossible for you to have, like I said, 20 to 25 different learners in your classroom who most of them may be at a particular grade level in terms of their understanding of a reading, for example. You're going to have students who are beyond that and students who are below that. So what do you do now without AI? You work your hardest, you try to find similar but maybe different text to provide those students with the supports, obviously. But what we're making the case for is AI can quickly take that same reading assignment, reading passage, and create a different reading level without changing the content.
And Lynn, going back to your question about how can AI do that, you asked the question to this panelist here. One of the things is maybe typing that same, and please don't take this the wrong way, the long question or long prompt that you might have, that might spit out 25 options. And then going through that chat and going back and forth with it might say, you know what, this is a little too broad. I don't like number 2 and 4, but tell me more about number 6. And it might give you more information about it that would spark your curiosity and just a different strategy that can support your students.
There's also a new tool that we're learning a little bit about called Ludia. It is specifically for universal design for learning. That's specifically what Ludia is designed for. So you can, I was playing around with it this afternoon. You can put in the demographics of your class when it comes to the types of learners that you have. I have 3 students that are reading at this grade level, or reading, if you just even say below grade level. I have 2 English language learners. I have, when you put in some of the information about your class and the activity, the goals for your lesson, like the objectives for your lesson, and it will give you some barriers that each of those types of learners might face, and then also some scaffolds that you might use in order to help lift students over those barriers. It was a pretty incredible tool that you can keep having that conversation back and forth with. I was trying a 7th grade unit with the Outsiders content and a character's journey, and it gave me some really cool suggestions on ways to engage the learners in the content, although it would be very challenging for some of the learners I had put in there. So that might be something to think about. Again, it would take time to learn it, and I understand all of that, but it does seem like a pretty promising AI tool that's coming down the pike.
I was thinking both back to what you asked, Lynn, and then Karen, your response too. I was just thinking about like our small groups in reading and the things that we might do to support readers to lift their level. We could use paired text. So if you have students who are reading on a 2nd grade level, print out a passage in a 2nd grade level, but then also level it up to a 3rd grade and a text leveler, and see if we can compare and level them up to almost like a guided reading group to see, can they see the nuanced differences in the complexity of the sentences or the vocabulary, and almost lift them that way. I was also thinking about the writing piece too, is like, how do we create exemplars using some of our AI tools to either mimic what we might see with our students that could include mistakes, that could include things that would look like the things that they're turning in, and invite them to peer revise or use that to do some small group work to elevate the level, along with maybe an exemplar of what you would expect. And some of those things are taking the lift off of you, but probably already match some of the lessons that you're doing. But I think you could even put a passage in and say, I have a small group who need this targeted skill intervention. What kinds of questions can I ask, or what might I do with this passage or this piece to elevate that?
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. To stay up to date about future Ed Talks and other presentations and workshops, be sure to follow us on social media. Links are in the description. To be part of future Ed Talks, please consider joining our PLC. It's as easy as visiting edvative.com and signing up for our weekly newsletter. From there, you'll have access to our educator community that shares best practices, brainstorms solutions to common challenges, and is passionate about building upon each other's ideas. You'll also have numerous opportunities for professional growth. From webinars to workshops to networking events, we'll keep you abreast of all the latest trends and give you the skills to implement them effectively. Again, thank you for watching, and remember, the hardest part about change isn't adopting a new mindset, it's letting go of the old one.